All right, everybody, here's the demo on how to create a proper pinch bowl. You're gonna start with your clay and just kind of fold back the bag until you expose about 2 inches or so of the clay on the side. And then you're gonna take your wire cutter and you're gonna carefully slice off from the bottom there, pull through with your wire, and then you're gonna come back down and cut again. You should have about 3 pounds of clay to start with. That's gonna be enough for both of your bowls. Okay, wrap up your clay, take it and put it out of the way, and then clean off your area so you can start to flatten out and kind of take away all the corners that you might have had from your brick of clay that you cut out of the bag. So slowly kind of work your way through and then start to pick it up and start to work around the surface of your bowl or your ball of clay until you have a nice round sphere. You should be holding it in one hand and then kind of slamming the clay with your other hand with a kind of a curved shape with your fingers in your hand. If you see any kind of creases or anything like that, try to smooth them out with your thumb until they start to blend away and disappear. Always carefully hydrate your clay as you're working on it. You don't want to create this weird dry skin on the surface, so just dab a little bit of water until it starts to stick to your skin as you're actually shaping the ball of clay. It should take maybe a minute or two. Obviously this video is sped up so that you can see what's going on a little bit quicker and to save some time. As you go, you'll start to realize you don't need as much pressure and you'll eventually start lightly squeezing the clay until you have a nice ball shape. You need to get your Ziploc bag, make sure that you have it nearby so you can put the extra half that you're not going to be using right away into the bag so it doesn't dry out. Take your wire cutter carefully, cut it through and wait for it. It's going to eventually cut through as long as you're keeping the wire nice and tight, and you're going to put one of those half spheres into the actual bag so it stays hydrated and keeps it from drying out. Now take a little bit of water on your sponge and lightly wipe the surface down on the corner, and then use your thumb and smooth that out. It's going to help prevent anything from happening later so that you don't have any major cracks around the rim, because it's going to be the thin spot that you need to make sure that you keep smooth. And then you're going to start to pinch the clay open. Keep your thumb right in the center, and I'm using my left hand because I'm left-handed. Some of you might be doing this in the exact opposite way. And then you can try to slowly work your way down into the middle. Keep your fingers on the outside directly across from your thumb, and I'm checking my thickness. Okay, grab your needle tool, slightly and lightly insert it through the wall, and then run your finger down until you hit the clay, and then hold your finger position there, and you're looking for about 1/4 of an inch. And that's going to be something that you want to guide yourself all the way through the entire bowl as you're making it, around 1/4 of an inch thickness the entire time. So as you're starting to pinch, you want to make sure that you're pinching in a very systematic and methodical way. You don't want to be jumping around. If you jump around, you might make some very thin spots and very thick spots, and it's going to alter your form. So you're trying to keep it as symmetrical as possible. And if you have any issues with that, you need to slowly work your way back over those areas and try to blend the clay together or smooth it out or bring it back and forth over that thin spot to protect that wall from getting too thin. So I'm slowly kind of working my way around the bowl and kind of alternating back and forth between my left hand and my right hand depending on what I'm looking to do. So I'm slowly working my way from my thumb down in the center, and then I'm using more and more of my thumb up against the wall to kind of create that curved shape, that bell shape that I'm looking for. As I get closer to the rim, I want to be very careful not to squeeze too tight and create a very thin spot somewhere, which might be hard to kind of fix and recover from. So take your time and use that very methodical, overlapping kind of pinching technique to stretch out your clay. As you get to the rim and you're close to that 1/4 of an inch, you want to kind of adjust your angle of your hand and use more of your thumb in a horizontal position than vertical. It'll allow you to get a nice even wall thickness all the way up at the rim as well. Keep checking the bottom, making sure that it's pretty even throughout. And you can use your needle tool again if you want throughout the different spots of the actual wall, just to kind of create a nice even wall thickness. Now, on the outside, you might find some cracks, some very small stretch lines or some cracks. Take your wire brush and score over them in the opposite direction of what they look like. So if they're going vertical, go horizontal across them. Do that very lightly and then come back with a sponge and smooth it out. And then you're going to use your thumb and fingers to compress the clay back together to strengthen the wall and get it nice and smooth again. If you see any of those cracks, you want to make sure you stop and try to fix them right away before you continue to stretch out your clay, because if they are not fixed, they could eventually get even bigger and cause more problems later. So now I'm just kind of working on the rim, trying to even things out a little bit more. Don't worry about the rim being a little bit uneven up and down. It'll be addressed later when we start shaving off some of the excess clay and start planning out the shape a little bit more. Right now you're really focused on trying to just make a nice even wall thickness. Once you're getting close to that 1/4 of an inch all the way through, you're going to want to leave it upside down and move on to the next one and let that one dry out. All right, thanks.